Identity is about the self and the collective. It's about a definition and redefinition of self over time.
Our research can show that cultural traditions are a mélange, that we are all hybrid identities, that identities are not in the blood, but that they are culturally and historically constructed.
Identities and transformation is about trying to understand and interrogate the question of human identity, but also to see how it's evolved throughout modern history.
I'm looking at how identity is both created, performed and perceived, particularly in drama. My own research in that regard would be in terms of gender, in notions of masculinity, how they're being created by theatre practitioners and television producers and directors, and how they're then read by audiences. Identity is the root of everything that's performative. We have to analyse it.
As academics, we're very responsible to the idea of reflecting on the long-term causes and very often the hidden narratives in history. We have a project on the censorship of theatre in the 18th century, which is very interesting because we're not only looking at what was put on stage, but what wasn't put on stage and how the government started to legislate to interfere with what people could see in that period. So questions of censorship, for example, are intimate with the idea of how literature has evolved and what kind of identities are policed within that.
I'm the curator of the Life Histories Archive, and in that archive we collected stories, autobiographies of men and women from Dublin and Belfast, and they were reviewing their lives through reminiscence workshops, and after each workshop they created stories. We digitized them and made them searchable, and we have them in the Trinity Library as a live archive. You can see through their autobiography how people change over time within their own life. But then when you have a corpus or a collection of stories, you can also see some trends and themes that run through all of them, and you can get an idea of a collective identity as well. We're looking at collaborations there with collections of stories in India based on the same template.
We launched this book, which we've edited from the Centre for War Studies. War is one of the most testing experiences that human beings and human societies go through, and wars of different kinds tend to be transformative moments in human evolution. We decided to think ahead for society, north and south, about the potential but also the pitfalls of the forthcoming centenaries of the lockout, the Great War, the Easter Rising, the War of Independence, the Civil War, partition. Potentially very divisive, but events which we can't ignore.
We are entering into this decade of commemorations, and a lot of the memories in Europe, although the First World War is now 100 years ago, and the period of nation building here in Ireland is 100 years ago, the memories are still quite raw, and the historical research will help us to bridge historic divides, will help in the process of reconciliation. There will be very tangible benefits for this research. As a research community, regardless from which discipline, we have an obligation to contribute to a better understanding of society.
One of the key things that Trinity is looking to do is to connect with community and make sure that there's a two-way communication.
We bring together historians, cultural historians, linguists, sociologists, art historians, colleagues from peace studies and from theology together in this project, because we do realize that from an individual perspective you can't answer any of the great challenges of our times.